front wheels. They were wobbling quite a bit. Have a locking up there, tighten it up, but I thought, well, it's still loose. So I took the tire off, thought maybe something behind it was going to have to get tightened. Back here, wow, this thing is loose as heck. That's how you know if the robot's been lifted, it'll just drop down. See, there's another screw loose right there though on this one. I have to tighten everything up. Came home to recharge. Now I'm just starting task over again, and this time it is not sweeping the entire way across my one area to get to my other area. So this is my second sweep in this area. It's going the opposite direction now. The last time I went the long ways back and forth. Did a pretty good job actually. Picked up a lot of stuff. I probably dumped 20 bags. So I just kind of sat out here and watched it and did really good. So now this is the second time. It's only been a few days. So I'm hoping, after the first 2 or 3 times it won't pick up quite so much stuff. There's a lot of dirt in this area. It's really bad. There's growing grass back here underneath all these trees. I'm hoping this will help. There's a lot of moss on the ground, stuff like that, which a lot of that gets picked up. The dry grass. Some dirt, but I wouldn't say it's mostly dirt that's picked up, even if there's a lot of dirt out here. It's mostly dead grass, acorns, moss, stuff like that. Loose stuff, sticks, small twigs and stuff. So I want to see how far this will go here. This is my second time, and before the bag gets full, so I'm just going to let it go until it's completely full. Last time I was sitting out here when it was going a long way back and forth, about every 5, 6, 7 passes. You can see it was getting heavy, the bag was sagging down to the ground. So I just go and dump it real quick, pause it, dump it, and continue on before it got full. But so since this is my second time, I want to see how long it'll go before it gets full, and then I'll probably do the same thing again on the third time I run around, which will probably be this weekend. I'm assuming that the bag will fill up less and less over the first 3 times, to where after that maybe I can do it once a week and get away with actually just a few bags I have to dump. So we'll see how that goes. Definitely something it's not worth just running when you're not here. So you do got to empty the bags out. So it's something I'm planning on doing on the weekend and doing all the mowing automatically during the week. The home base is way out there by the barn. It's a long ways to go, so it's kind of a pain. When the bag gets full, it's got to go way out there to charge, unless you catch it before it gets full. So hopefully in the future they can add an option to, when the bag's full, it just sits there and doesn't go anywhere, just sends you a notification, and just sits there and waits for you to come and empty it for an hour or something before it goes home. Or if it gets down to 20% battery, whichever comes first, something like that, and then it'll go home, or maybe even a couple hours. I've had it stuck for a couple hours while I'm at work and had to come home, and it doesn't lose that much battery. If there's still 80% in it or something. If you're doing this on the weekend while you're doing other stuff, you don't want to have to constantly monitor it and empty the bag before it gets full and has to go all the way to home base, which in my case is a long ways away. It's kind of a pain. I'd rather just have it sit right here and grab it, empty it in a wheelbarrow or whatever, and then continue on its way, rather than having to go way out to the barn and empty it out there, and then it takes a long time for it to come back over to this area, and it brushes the whole way there and back for whatever reason. When you first start a task in a new area, then the blades don't spin if you're mowing, and the bag doesn't turn on if you're sweeping. But as soon as it has to go home and recharge, it runs all the way back. After recharge, it comes back to continue and runs all the way back to the area again, which it shouldn't really do. That's not the best way to do it. Obviously, you should turn off. and even raise up so nothing's dragging, because you're going, in my case, across the driveway, across gravel there. You should turn off, lift up, and drive over there. Considered leaving this sweeper attachment on the thing the whole time, even while mowing, just so I don't have to take it off and put it on, just for that added weight in the back. Because it does run a lot better in my yard being so rough, and there's some sand traps here and there. Having that extra weight on the back gives those back tires better grip, but also lightens up on the front tires, so it allows to rotate much better. And do the zero turn thing without those tires, they just don't really want to dig into the sand, or they catch on lumps of grass or whatever in a rougher area, and they just got stuck so often out here with my first unit. But I think they also maybe changed kind of how when it gets stuck and some things like that. Change the algorithm around so it seems to be a little bit better and doesn't sit there and spin as much. And especially back here where there's low signal, which if you're sweeping an area, there's got to be trees around, right? I mean, either that or you're like really cleaning up the grass clippings. But if there's trees around, you're gonna have low signal. And before, every time it would get to the edge, it would just find those stupid sand traps, and it would just sit there, zero turning back and forth, trying to find signal, trying to find its direction or whatever. And it just bury itself constantly. Not quite so bad anymore. But with that added weight on the back, it really does help out. So I'm getting the left rear wheel stuck, which it's not stuck on anything. What we're seeing here, there's a lot of junk in there. It's so full, so heavy, the mower can't drag it around anymore. So I decided to put it on gentle, which they call it silent mode of the sweeper. So the brush doesn't spin quite as fast. You can hear the brush slow down when you change between modes. Maybe that'll help not get as much dirt in there. I don't know. I think that's a big part of the problem right now is it's starting to pick up more dirt than debris. First time it was a lot more debris than dirt. It got pretty full. Now it's not getting quite completely full. And it's stopping for a rear wheel blocked, which nothing's blocking. It's just too much weight for it to spin it around, because the bag starts dragging on the ground when it gets that heavy. So it's definitely a lot slower moving, but it spins slower. So I don't know, one may cancel out the other and you still get just as much dirt. I could raise it up, but the grass here is so thin and spindly, it wouldn't really do much of anything. You can already hear some areas where it brushes, in other areas it's not even touching, even on its lowest setting. I don't know, we'll see what this does. Let it go again. This is now the third time. So I did that little first square area there. I emptied it. Then it went full length here. Emptied it again. Now it just went some more and emptied it again. I guess the third time. But it's not getting to the point where it's full and wants to go home and recharge. It's just too heavy and the mower can't handle it anymore. The first time I used it, that didn't happen. It filled up before it got too heavy. It was still sagging a lot and dragging on the ground. The bag was, and popping a wheelie in the front. But it got full before it was too heavy for it to move around. So now it's too heavy to move around before it gets full. But at least, it doesn't overdo it. It knows it can't handle something if it's pushing into something, gets stuck on something or whatever. It doesn't spin the wheels or push them too hard to damage the motors. For the most part, that's what it seems to be doing. It kind of knows its limit and will just stop trying and try to go the other way and things like that. But once that bag gets that heavy. Right there's the second pile. It's a little bit less compared to the first pile. So it picks up a lot of stuff. There's quite a bit of dirt mixed in with it.